Remember the Aeron Chair during the tech boom of the late 1990s? It's hard to think of a chair that has been so closely associated with a particular period in time.
Marilyn Monroe once declared to a reporter that she wore nothing to bed other than a few drops of Chanel No.5. Why was this perfume such a phenomenon?
How does one animal manage to kill an astonishing 436 people? The Champawat tiger was the most prolific serial killer of human life that the world has ever seen.
And finally, we look at Esperanto, a language that was invented to try and change the world.
Hello, welcome to REMORANDOM, a celebration of uncommon knowledge and everything interesting. I won't say knowledge McNuggets, but there you go. I'm Remo Since.
And I'm Claudia Shaw. Knowledge
Sorry,
McNuggets.
I'm a little bit, I'm a little muddled, a few ideas short of the next book. And I've been looking through the list. I saw that you had suggested a couple of things, and I was looking into them, and I'm just scratching my head. I might throw them back at you. One was about cicadas, and the other one was about a dog that doesn't bark. So
Yeah. So I like the cicada thing. You know, every summer you hear this, the terrible noise of the cicada, and they're all in the trees, and it's supposed to be we're making so much noise so the birds won't come and eat us because their ears will go, no, too loud. But they're actually going, I'm over here, come and eat me. Who would be a cicada? You live under the ground for what, 17 years or so, in the dirt, and then they come out and you see the little holes where they've emerged and they leave their little exoskeleton behind. And then, I've just come out, I've emerged, and day one, a bird eats them. Who would be a cicada? What a life. What a life.
What a horrible life.
I think that's a great topic for
All
memorandum.
right. Okay, I'll give it another crack. And what was the dog one?
Oh, well, we have a lovely dog, a dog named Harpo. And she's called Harpo because she doesn't bark. If you're a Marx Brothers fan, you'll understand the reference. And she's a Basenji. And Basenjis do not bark, cannot bark. They've got the larynx is in a different spot. They howl, whimper, cry, but they cannot bark. So, you know, when you go walking your dog in the street and the other one's going, "Rah, rah, 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 rah," our dog's just going, not a sound.
That sounds kind of chilled, actually. I mean, we have a pretty barky schnoodle here at home. Every time anyone knocks at the door to deliver, coffee beans or whatever, she goes berserkerwitz.
No, Harpo, not a beep. Just a lot of furtive sniffing.
Right. Well, that's probably a goer.
I think so.
Let me pull up something to tell you about the designy thing.
Oh, yeah.
The Aeron Chair.
Yes,
I wish I was
remember
actually
these.
sitting. I wish I was sitting in an Aeron chair. I used to have one.
What happened to it?
Well, I inherited it from my friend Peter Holmes of Courts. When he closed an office, he had a bunch of chairs, and he ended up giving me one. And I sat on it for years. It's super comfortable. But then when we moved from one flat in Bondi to a smaller flat in Bondi, we somehow decided that it was too out of place. It was too big for the little tiny place we're in.
Too big for the room.
And I regretted it ever since. Anyway, so because the one I'm sitting on is nice, but I sit down for a long time. And with the Aeron, I seem to remember it never had that kind of coccyx problem, where you're sitting on that part of your body for a long time during the day.
Yeah.
Anyway, the
Probably
Aeron
helps you
chair,
think too.
and it breathes. It breathes. I'll get to that in a second. But no, it's not an evil. It's not evil. You're making it sound evil. The chair's designers. Okay, so it didn't start off as an office chair. The chair's designers worked for a company called Herman Miller, big famous furniture design company in the United States.
Very famous.
Bill Stumpf and Don Chadwick, they were tasked with a design challenge at Herman Miller to create an upgrade of the Lazy Boy Jason recliner rocker, something that was sort of targeted to relatively immobile elderly people, and it was called the Sarah. Anyway, kind of bombed. Nobody really was interested in buying.
A chair called
Maybe
Sarah.
maybe what we call the Jason recliner rocker was just doing a good enough job. You didn't need a souped up version. So they were asked to have a rethink of the Sarah, and they decided to pivot it to be, an ergonomic office chair and not necessarily a lazy boy. So it debuted the chair in 1994, and it was all about the sitter's health. Its raison d'etre was to sort of provide ergonomic support and comfort. Many different types of users engaged in all sorts of different kinds of work. The most notable feature of the Aeron was what it was made from. It wasn't conventional foam and fabric. It was made of this stuff called pellicle mesh, which was kind of like trampolini
Oh yeah.
style
Yep.
chair. So the air could breathe through it. You could actually expel air in the other direction without having to like go up on two wheels too, which is like
Go
ex,
up on two
add-
wheels.
an added benefit.
If you're watching this on video, he actually did that. He just sort of went to one side.
Anyway, it became the Aeron, came out. It was striking. Wide magazine described its appearance as a chair that looked more engineered than design. It had a weird look. Some of the Herman Miller executives were concerned about that, but that actually turned out to be its cut-through feature, that it looks so kind of skeletal and alien-esque. And the first acquisition ever made by Paola Antonelli for MoMA in New York was of an Aeron chair in
Ah,
1994. Yeah, so as Brian Kennedy in 2006 issue of New York Magazine said, Aerons were hailed as triumphs of industrial design and were a whole different beast from the overstuffed leather power chairs that dominated the old economy. Now, the thing is, the chair became a symbol of that booming tech industry during the late 90s, early 2000s. No startup worth its like salt would be caught dead not spending a whole bunch of venture capital money on a room full of on a bunch of Aeron chairs. So it kind of has been attached to that period, even though it's still very popular. There's still, they relaunched it in 2016, and they're still selling like over 1 million of them a year. So it's still very popular. They're not inexpensive though, so it's kind of very culturally well known. It scored a cameo on The Simpsons when we learnt in an episode that it was the chair of choice for God to sit on in heaven. So there's a particular
oh, there
scene
you
where
go.
God is there from up on high, and he's sitting on what is unmistakably an Aeron chair. So when only the best will do.
Chairman of the board.
As I say, as I say, no self-respecting.com would be without it. And then when .coms tanked, it was the first thing to kind of sell at auction. And there's a bunch in circulation. I wish I had another one. So if I
Keep your
sell
eye
enough
out.
books, I might go
You
back
could
onto
get one.
Facebook Marketplace where I sold mine.
Oh no.
I know.
Well, I want to tell you about sweet scents, lovely smelling things, and a bit of fashion. You are familiar with, of course, Chanel No. 5, which was the fragrance launched by French couturier Gabrielle Coco Chanel in 1921. And since
Yes.
1929, it has been the world's best-selling perfume. Well, prior to Chanel launching No. 5, respectable women wore fragrances that smelt like a single flower. So courtesans and racy ladies stuck to brazen smells like musk or jasmine to attract the gentleman. So the formula for number 5 was created by the Nose, as they're known, Ernest Beau, who was a chemist and a parfumeur. And it's incredible mix of over 80 different ingredients. Now, remembering that we always stuck to a rose, a jasmine. So 80 different ingredients, including ylang ylang, jasmine, musk, rose, sandalwood, vanilla. And he added a very nice dose of aldehydes. Now, that's a characteristic odor that's often described as maybe a metallic-y or even a slightly soapy smell. So because the fragrance had a lot of aldehydes in it, it meant that the fragrance could linger on the skin for longer, which is perfect for the modern woman who is now busy. She's smoking, she's driving cars, she doesn't need a chaperone anymore. She's a modern girl. Ernest Beau comes up with a number of different solutions, and he presents them to Mademoiselle Chanel. And he goes, there you go. And she goes, no. And he takes and gives another one, and she goes, sniffs it, no. And then he presents her with experiment number 5, and she goes, ah oui, it's number 5. And the other thing that's important about Chanel number 5 is Chanel was a particularly superstitious woman, and number 5 was her favorite number. So put that together with the 5th experiment and number 5, it becomes Chanel number 5. But the interesting thing is, and this is Chanel's genius, she was the very first designer to put her own name on a fragrance. So before this is 1921. Before this, we had, designers like Paul Poiret doing their own fragrances, but he called it after his daughter, Rosine. He didn't call it Paul Poiret. Chanel, first designer branded fragrance ever. Smart. Bottle design, also very, very clever. Not the fancy schmancy, overly decorative designs by people like Lalique and Baccarat. She's designed it like a simple flask, almost like a hip flask, because it's modern, it's contemporary, no fuss, it's sleek. In 1952, Marilyn Monroe gives Chanel a wonderful gift because she declared in an interview for Life magazine, when asked, Marilyn, what do you wear to bed? She said nothing except for Chanel number 5. Marilyn was interviewed in 1960 by French Marie Claire magazine, and she recounted that story, and it came topical again, and it turned out to be marketing gold, because what does Chanel do? They run ads with Marilyn Monroe with her Chanel number 5 endorsement after she's gone. So all of this is coupled with continuation of celebrity endorsements. Chanel was actually the first celebrity endorsement, pictures of her in her hotel room in the Ritz. And so we've got Catherine Deneuve, Nicole Kidman, Baz Luhrmann, Audrey Tautou, even Brad Pitt in ridiculous ads where he was going, unforgettable. And that's it, that's the ad. Anyway, fragrance is a very, very personal thing. When my husband and I first started dating, we were going to walk into David Jones' perfume department. He said, no, can we go around the other way and not through the fragrance department? And I said to him, why? And he said, well, because I'm allergic to perfume. And I said, hang on. I wear opium, which is the strongest fragrance known to man. How come that doesn't affect you? And he said, I take an antihistamine every time I see you. So that is love. That is true love. And from that day, I stopped wearing fragrance. So there you go.
I had a
No Chanel for
girlfriend who
me.
wore opium. I had a girlfriend
Opium
once
was
who wore
gorgeous.
opium too. Yeah.
It's strong, isn't it?
It was very musky, right? Yeah.
You're very, very strong. But a fabulous, heady smell.
There was something about the lid of the perfume bottle too. What was that? The kind of distinctive shape.
It was kind of octagonal. The stopper was quite angular. Remembering also in 1921 we're moving into Art Deco officially in 1925. So and the stopper was modified over the years, so it became quite a minimal octagonal shape.
No, it's very perennial, isn't it? Chanel number 5. I mean, there's not
still the best-selling fragrance.
Stayed hot for that long. So
yeah, still the best-selling fragrance in the world.
Okay, well, gee, this is now something completely different. The Champawat Tiger. So here's another idea that came in from a reader, from Zach Zinn in Bondi. And when he first told me about it, I thought, okay, there's got to be a typo there. But So this Champawat tiger was a female Bengal tiger that was during the last years of the 19th century on the prowl in Nepal and then India. And the tiger was ultimately responsible for mauling and killing, and presumably eating, an astonishing 436 human beings. So
What?
I know, it's a lot of people. Um,
Yeah.
so there's a guy, Dane Hucklebridge, wrote a book in 2020 called No Beast So Fierce, the Terrifying True Story of the Champawat Tiger, the
Mm.
deadliest animal in history, says, and I quote, operating with almost supernatural efficiency, the tiger was the most prolific serial killer of human life the world had ever seen. So the tiger began her attacks in this Nepalese village called Rupal in western Nepal. Most of her victims were young women or children who were out in the forest collecting firewood or feeding livestock, gathering stuff for craft. So the tiger was averaging about one victim a week for several
Wow.
years. Again,
Dear.
notching up its victims. The So once the fatalities hit around about 200, the Nepalese authorities decided they needed to do something about it, and in 1903 the community organised this plan to drive out the tiger by getting a whole lot of elephants and thousands of people beating the bushes, and they eventually were successful in pushing the tiger across the border into India. Uh, Editorial note: India. Thanks so much for that, Nepal. So now it's India's problem, right?
Yikes.
I know. They So now she's in India, and she keeps going, and 236 more victims fall prey to
Dear me.
her. And her hunting strategy was sort of complex too. She would travel between villages, sometimes 32 kilometers in a day, and do that at night. And in her new territory, she'd, lay waiting for, someone to go collect the firewood. So
Mm.
it became so well known, a risk in the region, that life became paralyzed. All the guys stayed home, refusing to leave their huts because they were too chicken and they could hear the tigers roar in the forest. But along came a guy called Jim Corbett. Now, he was a white guy. He was British, but he was born in India. He was one of 16 children of a British Raj functionary who was working there in India, and he became a celebrated tiger hunter. And they approached him to find the Champawat tiger. So he did that. He Soon after, the Champawat tiger killed its or her very last victim, a 16-year-old girl. Corbett managed to confront her. This was 1907, and shoot her. He was only 6 meters away from her, and she was charging at the time.
Mm.
But the sad thing is that, well, that's sad in and of itself. But a post-mortem of the tiger after discovered that there were problems with the tiger's teeth, probably caused by a bullet shot to the mouth at some point in its life, and there were missing canines, lower canines and upper canines, which would have prevented her from hunting her natural prey.
Ah,
So she
right.
had to, eat people instead. Um, So, I had to do it, folks. I had to, that was the only way I was going to stay alive. But it
Yeah.
was too late. But Jim later in life retired all of his rifles, and he focused all of his efforts actually on photography and conservation, ironically, of big cat populations throughout the region. And he did a lot of good work, and they actually renamed a park in India after him, Jim Corbett National Park. It was previously called Uttarakhand.
I thought you were going to say they named it after the tiger.
I can't pronounce all of these words. I need help with it. But yeah, so that's the Champawat tiger, and it was fearsome.
Imagine the stories that were told in the village. If you're naughty, the Champawat tiger will come and get you. This fearsome beast, part of folklore, along with Ned Kelly.
I want to know, does the tiger eat the entire human being, or just all of the meaty bits, or can you
Well, I
get back to me
suppose,
on that?
yeah,
After you've done
but
your cicada research, can you?
yeah, I suppose it's what can you chomp on with those missing your canines? So back teeth work, little and women and children, smaller, softer bones, I suppose. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yummy babies.
Oh, dearie me. Well, you said that you were having difficulty pronouncing all the words, Remo. So, there are over 7,000 languages in use throughout the world today. And some of them are long-standing, some of them are national, and some are spoken more widely than others. Some are fictional. So, sorry, Trekkies, I understand that nobody actually speaks Klingon. What about... Well, we could speak Dothraki, as in Game of Thrones. But there's one
That
language...
that
What?
clicky one. What's
What?
that? What's the clicky
Oh,
one?
yeah,
The
yeah, yeah.
clicky one.
I can't remember. I can't
So
remember
yeah,
that one. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's good. You've got it though.
Okay.
You've nailed it.
But there's one language that was invented to try and change the world, and it wasn't. And, it might have been in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Might have been one of
Yes.
the languages that the bounty
Yes.
hunters,
In the cafeteria.
yeah,
Famous
in the
cafeteria scene.
cantina scene. Da, 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 da. That maybe there. Oh, we don't know. Solo. Oh, we just have a lava. Yeah, Java. Anyway, Esperanto is what I want to tell you about. Esperanto is what they call an auxiliary language created on purpose, with purpose. And it was designed to bring the world together and make it more tolerant and free from war. So very altruistic. And so rather than replacing a language, an auxiliary language is meant to bridge a gap between two different tongues and facilitate better conversation. So it's kind of like reverse Babel. Stick a fish in your ear and you'll know what I'm talking about. Esperanto was invented by the Polish doctor Ludwik Zamenhof, and he spoke, wait for it, Russian, Polish, Yiddish, German, English, Spanish, Lithuanian, Italian, French, Hebrew, Latin, Aramaic, and Volapük, which is a constructed German language. And despite this, he felt a compulsion to invent another language, which he called Esperanto. Now, Esperanto has only 920 root words and 16 simple grammatical rules, but it can form tens of thousands of words from that basis. So that makes it quite simple. And that simplicity helps it prosper for a while in Europe and in North America, and in particular in a tiny Belgian-Prussian condominium called Neutral Morisne, where it was declared the official language. Then World War II comes, it all falls apart. Adolf Hitler actually condemns Esperanto in Mein Kampf, along with everything else in the world. And Aram, which was the Esperanto name for Neutral Morisnet, was annexed by Belgium, so the language completely disappears. But out of the wreckage emerged the loyalists, who estimated to be now about 2 million people throughout the world. 2,000 speak it as their first language, would you believe? So today, if you speak Esperanto, you're called an Esperantist. And you're probably a member of the Esperanto Reddit thread, because Reddit is the be-all and end-all of all communication. And you probably go to the World Esperanto Congress, which has been held every year since 1905. So it may not have world-dominating status, but there's definitely a close-knit community devoted to it. The internet connects the Esperanto fans. You know, they chat about it on Facebook, on YouTube. Google and Wikipedia actually are available in the language. And there's more than 1 million people who have taken the Esperanto language course on Duolingo. How good is that? So if you want to learn Esperanto, go to Duolingo, just 5 minutes a day. But really, if you want to hear it in action, you could watch the B-grade film, 1966 horror film called Incubus, which is starring a pre-Star Trek William Shatner, which for some reason was filmed entirely in Esperanto.
Oh.
How weird is that?
I would love to have been in that studio pitch.
Yeah.
Hey guys, we're going to do this in the language that no one understands. There's Esperanto House in Little Everleigh Street here in Redfern in Sydney. I know that because
really?
my friend Hugh Ramage's art gallery, Duck Rabbit, was inside Esperanto House. He used to rent from Esperanto House upstairs.
Wow. But they said, you need to read the lease. And he said, I can't read it. And they said, it's in Esperanto.
In the wrong language.
Oh,
that's good. I'm into that one. That was good.
I'm going to learn Esperanto now. I'm going to go on Duolingo and learn Esperanto.
I'm going to stand up because my coccyx is killing me. I'm sitting on
You
this
need one of those Aeron chairs.
Not an Aeron. Well, that was 4 random interesting things. Thanks for your time and effort and all of those sound effects that you do out of your mouth that no one else can do, which I think are remarkable.
I think they should have a language that's everything's backwards. Bye, Remo.
Bye.